Cool. Election chances. So, what do you think the odds are of Flux winning a seat this year? Dahi, campaign director. Um,
Yes. Okay, so obviously we have two elections this year. We have state election in New South Wales in March, the end of March, and we will have a federal election likely in May this year. Now, there is a difference between state elections and federal elections. There's different rules that are used for how votes are tallied, different counting systems, and different. There's just a number of variables that mean that we have better chances in some areas than we do in others. So just comparing New South Wales with the federal election, we will have a much better chance of winning a seat in New South Wales due to the way that the way that the system is structured. To be within a chance of getting a seat in the upper house in New South Wales, we will need to be polling somewhere, like getting about 100,000 first preference votes, which I think would put us somewhere in the region of like 2 to 3%.
yeah, that's the
2 to
that's the window.
5%. Of first preference votes. Now, that's still a significant amount of people. Let's take for a moment, let's relate it back to our membership numbers. We have approximately 7,500 members nationally, which is a great amount. Actually makes us one of the largest political parties in Australia, and certainly the most transparent in relation to our membership numbers. It's very difficult to pin down the other parties as to what their actual membership numbers are, but the fact that we have 7,500 members and we haven't yet been elected to Parliament is a very good indication of the grassroots support for what it is that we're doing. Now, of that 7,500, I think approximately 2,200 are in New South Wales. So for us to convert our membership numbers into actual votes in New South Wales, we're looking at a multiplier factor of 50 to 1. That would be every single one of our members. At least 50. Oh yeah.
Sorry, we were just having some audio issues there. You dropped out for a moment. I wasn't sure if that was me or on your end. Sorry, keep going. It looks right now.
Okay. Yep. So from 2,200 members in New South Wales to 100,000 votes to bring us into the space where we would be competitive, that's a 50 to 1 multiplier. So let's just think about that. For every single one of our members who was registered, they would have to go out and convince at least 50 other people that voting for Flux is aligned with their best interests. Now, for anybody who's been involved in political campaigns before and talking to people about who they should vote for, one of the things that people hugely underestimate is just how well set and well formed people's political preferences and like who they would intend to vote for, how set that is already, and how difficult it is to actually get people to change from their current voting pattern. Obviously, we appeal to a lot of younger people, a lot of people who are technically literate, but we also have a huge support base among, we'll say, in people in the demographic of 50 years and over, who have been around long enough to see that the political system isn't working for them. But in terms of us going out and actually winning a seat, it is really about capturing the hearts and minds of a lot of people. And it does take work. Trying to convince people that voting for the party because you believe in it or because you're going to stand as a candidate, it doesn't take into account people's self-interest. And if people believe that their self-interest is better served by voting at this moment in time, by voting for the Liberals or Labour or the Greens or One Nation or whoever it might be, they might smile and nod politely and say, yeah, sure, you can count on my support. But because we have secret ballot elections, they'll just go and they will vote according to their own self-interest. And until we create a very compelling case that voting for Flux is in people's immediate self-interest. We will, we have a lot of work to do. And there's a cartoon that you'll see circulated a lot around election time, which goes towards explaining preferential voting in Australia and the fact that you might want to vote for the Greens or for Labour, and you go, oh, I don't want to waste my vote. The beautiful thing about preferential voting in Australia is that your vote can't be wasted. Like, if you want to vote for Flux, but in the event that we don't get elected, want to ensure that your vote ends up with someone else, you can ensure that that happens. But what it will do is it sends a signal to the marketplace that there is an increasing demand for these sorts of political parties and ideas that are coming from outside the establishment, outside the established way of doing things. Yeah. So just to close out, I would say we are in with a good running chance in New South Wales. The target of 100,000 votes is certainly manageable. It will require work. At the federal level, we will be dependent on getting a huge amount of positive press or a huge amount of media attention to bring us to the numbers that would be required for us to win an upper house seat at this moment in time.
So just to mention the cartoon, which I think I've found, is the "You Can't Waste Your Vote" with Dennis the Election Koala. Anyway, I think it's pretty good, and it does make a good point. I think we can appeal to people on this ground. I think creating a narrative around the idea of needing a backup plan, or if you don't think democracy is working well, then voting for another major party is not going to be the solution there. So we need some contingency plan. And because of our preferential system, it's safe to give us your first preference. And then you can vote however you want. But if you think we need a backup plan, then the only way we're ever going to get one is if you vote for Flux first. And that's, in my mind, is not a bad sort of narrative. In terms of, the question itself asks what we think the odds are in terms of a probability. I don't think we can estimate that, but we can separate elections into sort of like the ones where we have a realistic chance and those where the odds of winning a seat are minuscule. So without a massive shift in either public perception or a huge amount of media attention, then it's not likely. So, and New South Wales and federal, well, one of them's in each category there. New South Wales is something where it's potentially achievable, and federal is something where, I'm not even sure that, Clive Palmer has been putting how many, tens of millions of dollars behind the current election campaign he's running. I don't know if he'll succeed in the upper house. It's, even with that sort of funding, getting 8 or 9% of the vote is not necessarily sufficient to actually win a seat. And so that's tough. That's really tough. Yeah.